Hi there. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Stephen, and welcome to my office in sunny Brisbane, Australia. I'm here to show you through my entry for the Chatter Developer Challenge. The idea for my app, TwitCh, came from thinking about some of the current feed aggregators that are out there and whether or not they'd likely support Chatter. Rather than worry about if this was achievable or not, I instead set out to build an aggregator of feeds within Salesforce. So Chatter plus all your other social feeds could come together in one place. Twitch, of course, is the first few letters of Twitter and the first few letters of Chatter, and that really explains the premise of Twitch, which is to acknowledge that, while Chatter is doing amazing things for enterprise collaboration, users still need to be connected to other streams of information that their enterprise is featured in, like Facebook, like Twitter. Twitch brings together the power of Chatter with your existing social feeds to create a central place to monitor and react to this information. So let's take a look at what it looks like.
So here we are looking at the main screen of Twitch. You can see pretty familiar interface. On the left hand side up the top I've got an area where I can update my status, and I can do that for one or more of the accounts that I've configured here. A little bit below that I've got the feeds that are interesting to me. There's some there that, for example, bring in just Chatter information, others that bring in all of the mentions across all of the accounts that I've configured. And on the right hand side is where my feed is actually displayed, and you can see at the moment I'm looking at the My Mentions feed, and I've got a combination of information in here. I've got some information coming back from Twitter, I've got some information coming back from Chatter. The key thing to note about this page is that all of the content of the page, including the accounts, including all of the feeds here, including all of the color schemes even, it's all completely configurable for each user, and we'll have a look at the settings in just a little while. So if we look at the list of messages that are displayed here for the My Mentions feed, you can see that there's a combination of both Twitter, Chatter messages here, and for each message I've got context-sensitive functions and links that I can perform. So for a Chatter message, you'll see here that I've got some comments, and I can add to those comments just by entering information in the quick comment box. You'll also see that for the Chatter related information, I've got a link out to the record in Salesforce that Chatter message is related to. So for here, it's actually related to the user, Stephen Brown. If I scroll down to a Twitter message, I've got a Twitter related function. So I could reply, I could perhaps retweet that information, and that information will then be passed on to the update box there. So that's the main page, and it's a familiar interface. I want to jump into the settings and show you where this information is configured. So if I click on the settings link here, then you'll see in our settings we've got all of the information about the accounts, the feeds that we were displaying earlier, as well as other options down here. So for each account, I can change the nickname of that account. I can perhaps change the color scheme if I'm not particularly fond of the current color. So all that information is configurable. Likewise for the feeds, I've got options there about what I want to display. So for the My Mentions, you'll see that I'm bringing in both Chatter and Twitter information. Whereas if I look at the Just Chatter feed here, I've configured that to only show Chatter information, so Twitter's not brought into the feed. And I can add new feeds as I want just by entering a name here, clicking my options, and clicking on the Save New Feed button. The great thing about the external accounts here, both Twitter and Facebook, is that they're using the OAuth process, so there's no storage of usernames and passwords. I can configure a new account very easily, and the process is handled by the external provider. So for example, there's no reason why I can't add a second Twitter account, so I'll go ahead and click on the Add New Twitter Account here. What that will do is pass me out to Twitter now and ask me if I'm happy to authorize Twitter authorize the application to access the information in Twitter. Now you'll see here that currently I'm connected to the SB Test NZ account, which I've already got configured within Twitch. So what I'm going to do is sign out and sign in with a second account that I have here. And once I allow that via the Twitter API, that will then redirect me back to Twitch. And what you'll see is that that new account information will then be stored in Salesforce and available via the Twitch application. So if we come back in, you can see that the second Twitter account has been added here to the list of accounts. It's defaulted to the name of that Twitter account, but there's no reason why I can't come back into the settings here and maybe change the nickname. Perhaps we're dealing with a business Twitter account here, so I'll put business tweets and maybe add a color to the scheme here to make it a little bit more definable in the feed. And then I'll go ahead and save those details. And when we come back into the page, you can see now that my account's been renamed there. And if I now go, for example, to the everything feed, what you'll see is that that information will be brought in from the multiple sources. So you'll see there, because of the number of other accounts that I'm following, I've got information here from my business tweet account. If I come down, you'll see I've also got information from my my first Twitter account, and there's still that chatter information in there also. And so if I come back up to the top here and maybe fire off an update, and I can obviously send that off to Chatter if I like, maybe to Twitter and to Facebook also. So the great thing about sending these updates, you can send them to one or more of your accounts at the same time. So you'll see there that that's been sent across, and if I refresh my feed now, so that's finished updating, and you can see that the status update that I entered in for those accounts has certainly appeared here in my feed. It's only appeared for the Chatter feed so far. The system is smart enough to only display the message once, but if I jump across to my Twitter account and if I sign back in with my original Twitter account here, so you'll see that I've also got the status update in Twitter, and if I jump across to Facebook, you'll see that I've also got my status update here in Facebook.
So that's a brief run through the app. I hope you like what you see. I've certainly enjoyed pulling this app together. All up, I've probably spent around 40 to 45 hours on this. And a note to my boss, my wife can attest to this all being done completely outside of work hours. Probably the hardest component was getting the OAuth stuff right. I'm pretty happy with that. I've managed to pull together a complete set of OAuth consumer libraries in Apex, which I'm happy to put up on CodeShare. Also, I'm grateful to a few jQuery component providers out there. So if you think this app looks cool and you think it's worth an award, then I'd very much appreciate your vote. Also on my blog, I'm going to post more details of the design process, some of my initial blueprints and scribbles, and also some more information about some of the jQuery components that I've used there. So if you head over to tinyurl.com/forcestuff, you can get some more information there. Thanks very much.